Today we are joined by Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. And of course, Bobby, we're going to be talking about yesterday's wild win because just to kind of set the scene a little bit, I texted Bobby that McKenzie Gore, he's got an issue. But ultimately, does he?
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thank you all for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every single day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and as well as our show page at LO_Nationals. For all your latest Nationals news and notes, make sure to check us out over on Twitter. And of course, while you're at it, make sure to search up Locked On Nationals wherever you get your podcasts, including over on YouTube. Again, just search Locked On Nationals. Hit that subscriber button, drop a comment, drop a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you want, you can do. Of course, we are joined today by Bobby Blanco. You can catch Bobby over on Twitter at Bobby_Blanco. And Bobby and I will be discussing a little bit later on in today's show Jarlin Susana and his improvement so far down in the minors. He was in Fredericksburg to start off the year. He started off real poor, got it together, then got shipped up to High A Wilmington, where he has continued to be very good for the Wilmington Blue Rocks. So we'll discuss that a little bit later on. Also, Travis Sykora, the Nationals' third-round pick in last year's draft, signed for above slot value. He has been dominant, and at this point in time, Bobby, I am ready to say that he is the number one pitching prospect in this organization, and it's really not even close. That is where I kind of stand on Travis Sykora, but we'll get into that a little later on, Bobby. But, of course, let's talk about last night's win, Bobby. I don't even know where to begin because I texted you in the first inning. I had a rundown. I forgot even what I was going to be talking about. And then I said, scratch everything. McKenzie Gore just gave up 4 runs in the first inning. We're going to talk about if McKenzie Gore has a problem. Well, he settled in, pitched pretty well over 5 innings pitched, but still, I do think there is a discussion to be had about McKenzie Gore, Bobby. I don't know what's wrong with him, but I can tell you this, there's nothing right with him at this point in time. What have you kind of made of McKenzie Gore's struggles over the course of the last month plus?
Yeah, it hasn't been too good to watch when McKenzie takes the ball. I mean, especially with Josiah Gray hitting the injured list earlier this year after 2 starts. I mean, for a minute there, McKenzie was like the must-watch start every 5 days. And then, of course, you have Jake Irvin turning into close to an all-star. Mitchell Parker has been a revelation in his rookie season as well. So they're great to watch when they take the ball. And DJ Hurst even in the past month or so. But McKenzie Gore is the guy that's leading this rotation right now. And I think a lot of Nationals fans point to him as ideally being their ace of the future. And, we talk a lot about how he's got the stuff. He has ace potential. The strikeout numbers are fantastic. But what's really hurt him all season long are the long innings, the not being able to put guys away with 2 strikes, not being able to put guys away with 2 outs. And getting himself into trouble, which is, to be fair, a common trait among young starting pitchers. I mean, a lot of starting pitchers do that. So it is kind of a learning curve for him, this only being his second full season in the major leagues. But yeah, I mean, it was tough to watch last night. I think we got to give him some credit for bouncing back and finishing 5 innings. I'm more concerned. I think he's done a really good job of keeping the ball in the yard, and then you give up a couple of home runs last night. That's a little concerning to me. I wonder if it's a little more wear and tear type thing where, because the Nationals were so careful with his innings last year. Now, he's on pace to probably pitch a little more than he did last year for the first time. So is that already starting to creep up on him? That would be concerning for me. But I think more so I think that stuff can be figured out. I think the length of his season will come naturally, just based on how he grows and how the Nats continue to develop. And remember, he's still developing theoretically, at the major league level. He's not, I know he's not a prospect anymore, but he is a young piece that they are trying to develop at the major league level. So yes, the home runs aren't great because they've been elevated, but for me, it's more the extended innings and not get. I really was trying to hopefully seeing from McKenzie, getting out of those rough innings earlier in the year and extend his outings and you get deeper into games. So many times. I mean, a very classic McKenzie Gore stat line. At the beginning of the season will be like, 8 strikeouts. 3 or 4 runs given up, a handful of walks, but only in 5 innings. And it's like at times, at that point, you're like, okay, he's still building up his arm, still figuring it out. Maybe he can expand that into 6 or 7 innings on a consistent basis. And he hasn't been able to do that. So I think looking at moving forward, I mean, this is a big 2 months for him to finish the season.
Yeah.
If he can figure it out and get deeper into games, not waste pitches. I know the strikeouts are sexy and everything, but quicker outs might be better for him because it'll allow him to stay in the game longer. And again, give him credit for battling back, keeping the Nationals in the game last night. A similar thing happened to Patrick Corbin on Monday, and the offense didn't do anything to back him up. The offense finally woke up last night and was able to back up McKenzie Gore, and he kept them in the game, and he kept the Giants at bay after the Nationals were able to rally and give him a lead early on after that rough first inning. So I think there's something to be said about that. But yeah, I mean, ideally, he's not doing that every time. Over his last 12 outings, he's got an ERA well over 6. He's got a WHIP that's pretty high. And remember, over his, I think it was the beginning or mid-June, he had an ERA under 3. So that's an over 3-run difference. Over these last 12 starts, which isn't great. So, I think that's stuff that can be figured out as we move forward. The Nationals aren't really competing for a playoff spot this year. Next year, they will be ideally. So, if he can figure it out between now and then and get deeper into games, I'm really looking forward to him hopefully, get deeper into games, not waste pitches, not walk guys with 2 outs, put guys away with 2 strikes, stuff like that. I think those are the small things that I think will go a long way to him having a successful end to the season.
I was looking at the numbers, and over McKenzie Gore's last 8 starts, check out this slash line, Bobby, of hitters going against him. They're batting .305, a .394 OBP, a .503 slug, and an .898 OPS. That is that is an all-star level kind of hitter right there. So I'm not overall too concerned with McKenzie Gore, but listen, I mean, he is one of the Nationals' better pieces. He is one of the Nationals' brighter pieces right now as far as their future goes. So you want to see what he can do. You want to see what he can do when the Nationals do bounce back. But luckily for McKenzie Gore, there was more to yesterday's game. And one of those in the second inning, CJ Abrams, literally, I believe you were telling me this before the game. I did not see this, but I believe that this was the Nationals. The home run that he hit in the second inning was nearly at his chin, and it was the highest fastball that any National or highest pitch that any National has ever hit a home run with. Is that correct?
Yeah, according to Nationals PR, it was the highest pitch ever hit for a home run by a Nationals player in the StatCast era, which started in 2015.
That is insane.
2 feet above the ground.
That is insane. I mean, when I saw him connect on that, I was like, oh my God, that was up in the chin. And then I watched the replay. It was
teed up on an 8-year-old.
Yeah, seriously.
That's all it was.
I mean, it was so high. And then, that was incredible to see him barrel up that baseball. I think that just kind of goes to show you. And one of my, we all know.
Also, it was a little bit outside, too. Let's not forget that.
Yeah.
Part. It wasn't
I know.
It was out a little bit. He had to go out there and get it.
Yeah, exactly. And hold it. It was incredible.
It
Incredible power, in my opinion. I mean, oh my God. But I think it kind of goes to show you, though, yesterday, Toby Altizer, that we both know from 106.7 The Fan. I remember he came over from the offices yesterday and he was trying to get some player interviews. And he was like, yeah, nobody was out there today. No one was taking BP. It was too hot. But there was one guy out there. And his name is CJ Abrams. I think it just kind of goes to show you the guy in 100-degree heat. Everyone, and not to say that the Nationals aren't working hard or anything. I mean, it's 100 degrees out. Get your work inside. But there was one guy out there, and his name is CJ Abrams. So that kind of feels good. See him putting in the extra work, obviously on a very hot day as well. So I thought that was really cool. But also James Wood yesterday, Bobby. What a game. I mean, people were moonshot opposite field what was it, 420 something feet. Yeah, just insane power to the opposite field, 107 off the bat. James Wood, people were kind of like, oh my God, like he's not hitting the ball that well. Everybody relax. James Wood is just fine. You see the numbers now. They are inflated back up nearly to an 800 OPS on the season. He's getting on base at a pretty nice rate. I still want him to cut back on the strikeouts, especially looking at them, but James Wood is here. He has been great to watch, and he is starting to really kind of feel himself up in the big. So what have you made of James Wood so far in 2024?
I think right now, I think you live with the strikeouts. I mean, like they're not good, but any rookie is going to strike out a handful of time, especially a guy that swings as much. Now, James has a great eye, but I still think he's going to strike out his fair amount of time. What the counterbalance that is, what does he do when he's not striking out? And he, like you mentioned, he drew 2 walks. So if he keeps that walk strikeout balance pretty even, I think we can live with the strikeouts for sure. But yeah, I mean, last night, the triple off the wall, the speed he has to run around the bases. He even got a slow start out of the box because he thought it was gone. The 2 walks, the 2 stolen bases. I mean, he just did pretty much now, I know he had an error in left field, so maybe not the defense, but 4 out of the 5 tools were on display last night at Nationals Park. And yeah, the home run, he hit that 423 feet to left center field. If you know Nationals Park, you know the red seats in the Budweiser Brew House, that if a player hits, I think the Nationals give out free Budweisers the next day. Well, he went over those, so I think you don't get a free beer because he went over them. Maybe you get 2 free beers. I don't know, but yeah, he went over them. He went to the second row after them. So there's 1 row of picnic tables and there's a second row of picnic tables. He went to the second one. He was a hop short, basically, of hitting the door of the Budweiser Brew House. So yeah, just incredible power for him to go the opposite way too on a low and inside pitch. That's just, you're not supposed to be able to do that. That's not what things that, like Bryce Harper does that, and that's pretty much it. Like you're not supposed to be doing. A 22-year-old is not supposed to be doing that at the major league level right now. And it's just crazy to think that he hasn't even started to pull the ball. And every time he pulls the ball, it's on the ground. And so once he starts being able to pull the ball to his side in the air, he's going to be, all those red seats in the upper deck in right field at Nats Park. He can have a handful of those. I guarantee you by the end of his career.
I know it's been crazy what James Wood has been able to do, but you know what's even better, Bobby? You know me. I love prospects. Travis Sykora. I think this guy is insanely good. His stuff plays, and I cannot wait to see him at Nationals Park. And Bobby, we'll discuss that. Before we get into it, though, I got to tell you guys about some of our very good friends over at PrizePicks. And guys, PrizePicks, you may not know, but they are America's #1 daily fantasy sports app with over 5 billion active members. And PrizePicks is the easiest, most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. And you can get on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today. And of course, you can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered every week, from lowering player select stats projections on Tuesdays to help your lineup hit, or getting your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Fridays. And of course, PrizePicks is available in more than 30 states across the country, including California, Texas, and my home state, Virginia. So maybe you want to go more hits for CJ Abrams tonight, or maybe you want to go less hits for Luis Garcia. Who knows? You can do that with our friends at PrizePicks. But when you do that, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Now we get into it with Bobby Blanco yet again as we discuss Travis Sykora, the Nats 2023 third-round pick. And Bobby, I am enamored with this guy. We've been talking about him for quite some time now, but just to kind of give people a taste of what Travis Sykora brings. Are you into an upper 90s fastball? I can tell you I am. Are you into advanced stuff? I can tell you this, I am. Are you into someone who pumps the strike zone? I am absolutely into that. Well, you will be into Travis Sykora. I can tell you that right now. So far, Bobby, through 14 starts in Fredericksburg, this kid has a 2.67 ERA, which even then, ERA, whatever. Through, again, 14 starts, 57 and a third innings pitched, only 17 earned runs, only 2 home runs given up in that time frame as well, 21 walks. Catch this out, a 0.942 whip on the season as well, only 5.2 hits per 9, and again, 13 and a half strikeouts per 9 innings to 3.3 walks per 9. This kid is electric right now. What can you kind of tell us about Travis Sykora? What have you kind of seen so far from this 21-year-old or 20-year-old beast at this point in time?
He's becoming what the Nationals hoped that he would be when they drafted him out of high school last year. I mean, he was, I think, he was definitely the top high school pitcher coming out of Texas. He might have been one of the top high school pitchers in the entire draft class last year. And the Nationals, they were able to snag him in the third round. And, you know, I always go back to drafting Dylan Cruz, Yohandy Morales, and Travis Sykora with their first 3 picks last year. And the Nats draft brass, they have since changed this group of people evaluating the draft, which we've talked about. But, you know, they said that they felt that they got 3 first-round picks in their first 3 picks because Travis was projected to go in the first round, one of the first high school arms to go off the board, and they got him in the 3rd round. So that was, I think, a steal for the Nationals, and he's proving them right. I mean, you just mentioned those numbers. Those are ridiculous numbers for a kid that was pitching in high school, 16 months ago. And, he's facing, at single A Fredericksburg, I think it's important to, for people who don't know, the level of talent he's facing. Yes, it's the lowest level of the minor leagues, not rookie ball, which Travis didn't pitch in, by the way. I mean, this is his first taste of professional baseball. He did not pitch in the rookie level league last year or the start of this year. So he just was thrown into the fire in his first full season after being drafted. And I think, he's facing guys who have either been at this level for a handful of seasons. I mean, they're all pretty much around his age, but there are a handful of guys who are a little bit older of him, especially this time of year when teams are adding their recent draft picks to their low A, single A ball. Remember, this is where Dylan Cruz started last year for a couple of games. So even if you're a first round pick, you most likely start at single A. There are some rare exceptions, but he's facing guys that just finished probably really good college careers at top programs, and he's striking them out and he's keeping them off base, which is, I think, important to know. I mean, he was named Carolina League Pitcher of the Week on Monday for last week. He had a no-hitter through 5 innings, struck out a handful. I think only walked 1 or 2 or something like that. Gave up only, faced the minimum over those 5 innings too. And it's clearly he's on an innings limit, because why would you pull someone with a no-hitter going after 5 innings? But like I said, it's his first year professionally. They're going to be very careful with him in terms of his innings. He's already nearing 60, so I would imagine he would probably try to get to 70, 75 before the end of the season, and then go to his normal offseason program and get back into it next year. But he's been great. He and Jarlin Susana, who has moved on from Fredericksburg, but they were, for a while there, an incredible 1-2 punch for the Fred Nets at single A Fredericksburg, and they were probably at a time had to have been one of the best 1-2 starting pitchers in the Carolina League. Yeah,
I mean, you said it, and we'll get into Susana here a little bit later on in today's show. But, I mean, Travis Sykora, in my opinion, I don't really read too deep into prospect rankings overall. Now, it is nice to see your guys, get the accolade of being a top prospect and being on people's radars, and from a national perspective, people talking about Travis Sykora. Now, if you read up on Jonathan Mayo and guys who cover prospects for a living, like Jim Callis or whoever it could be, then you'll know that people are talking about Travis Sykora, but still you want to see him talked about on a more national level. And I think you will get that once these prospect rankings really kind of start to rework themselves with Baseball America, MLB.com. He's going to be a top prospect. And speaking of top prospects, Bobby, he's still a top prospect, but Kade Cavalli. I'm not going to say, well, okay, let me just kind of take you into my brain real quick. This could get a little messy, but I don't understand what's going on with Kade Cavalli. I just don't get it. They said that he had the flu and he was shut down with the flu, which is a very reasonable answer. But I would have expected Cavalli to have already made maybe 3 to 4 major league starts at this point in time. And at this stage, I don't really expect him to pitch in this season. I don't know what is going on. I feel like, and again, this may be a little premature, but it just feels as if there is something else to what we are hearing right now. Like they seem way too calm about Kade Cavalli just not going out there making rehab appearances. So what can you tell the people about Cavalli and what to expect with him?
Yeah, I know a lot of people are share your same sentiment. They're frustrated. They're nervous. They're uncertain. They're confused. And, to be quite frank, so were we in the media for a little bit, because it did seem like, the whole story wasn't being told when it came to Cavalli. Now, maybe it was, and maybe it was just as simple as, he was sick. I mean, we saw a handful of players in the Nationals, like point to Gabriel Ruiz losing 20 pounds, but deal with a bout of the flu and be out for a while and not come back really the same way. So I think when it comes to Kade Cavalli and really any young starting pitcher who is coming off Tommy John, the Nationals are going to be extremely cautious with this.
They always will be.
And yes, I agree. Like, the entire time since he went under Tommy John surgery last March of 2023, the idea was that, or we were told, or led to believe, that he would be back on the mound in the majors by end of June, early July at the latest. And now here we are nearing mid-August, first full week of August, and he hasn't returned to the mound yet. He just started throwing, like playing catch the other day at Nationals Park. I think there's, I don't mean to, put down the Nationals or David Martinez or whoever, but these are just the facts that we've been told. We were told that he was going to go, Kade Cavalli, to Florida to restart his program, ramp up his arm. This was, I guess, 2 weeks ago before they went on this road trip. And then they got back from the road trip and Cavalli was still in DC. So why is he here? Well, he never went. We wanted him to work out with our strength team here first. And it's like, okay, well, when is he going? Well, hopefully he goes out soon, and he's still here. So it's all been kind of confusing and disappointing. I understand that. I just think I don't think they're keeping anything from us. I don't think they're trying to be slick or anything like that, or be rude. Or, I don't know what you want to call it, but I don't think they're trying to do that. I think genuinely what it is, and they're not going to come out and say this, but I think that they have come to terms that he's not going to pitch this year, just because of everything that happened, the dead arm, the flu at the wrong time, right when he was about to probably be ready to make 1 or 2 more final rehab starts and join the Nationals. And with the injuries to Josiah Gray, now Trevor, I mean, there's, I guess, a need for a starting pitcher, but there's just no need to rush him back. This team is not pushing for the postseason. Get him back, because you're not going to have Josiah Gray next year. So you might as well just keep Cavalli resting, have him do somewhat of a normal offseason program. I think the goal is to get Kade on a mound at the minor league level once or twice before the end of the season, just so he can kind of enter the offseason and do his normal program. I am almost 99% sure that it's not going to be at the major league level. I just don't think they're going to do that at this point, because if he just started throwing. Yeah. The last time we saw him do this, it took him over a month to get on a mound. At that point, he's getting on a mound in September, and then the AAA season ends the week before the minor league season. So maybe he gets on a mound for the Rochester Red Wings, but I would doubt they bring him up again to start for the Nationals that last week of the season. It's just not worth it at this point. I think we just gotta kind of bite the bullet, say 2024 is a wash, and move on to 2025.
I think that's a fair point, Bobby. And you know what? Let's get on to some brighter things here. Jarlin Susana, again, we've kind of been a roller coaster today. We're up and we're down. Kind of went down there. Let's get back up. Let's talk about one of the Nationals' brighter prospects, Jarlin Susana. But before we do that, I'm going to tell you guys about our friends over at Liquid IV. And let me tell you guys this. when I go and work out, sometimes I just have a nice little side of drink with me, and that is Liquid IV, and it's a sports drink that you will love. And of course, when you're taking America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's popsicle ice flavor and surefire summer hit. You can get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. And of course, when I go and have my Liquid IV, I do it before I work out, and of course, after I work out to get my nutrients blasted in me. And of course, you can blast off the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon, lime, tart, cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all your favorite flavors on their website, from acai berry and lemon lime to pina colada, which is my personal favorite. So no more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. Again, that's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Again, 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. Bobby, we're going to end on a high note here, as we always do. Jarlin Susana once was at the Fredericksburg Nationals earlier this year, was really struggling down there, but then he got his act together, put together a series of about 6-7 straight really good starts down in Fredericksburg, got promoted to High A Wilmington, and he has continued that success so far. Over his first 4 starts in High A Wilmington, he's got a 3.15 ERA, and this is what I love to look at. He's got a 192 batting average against, and again, a 231 OBP and a 315 slug. The guy is striking out a ton of batters, 26 strikeouts in 20 innings pitched, only 14 hits, 7 earned runs, and something that I love to see from Susana, only 3 walks, because that is something that really nipped him in the butt earlier on this season. He has made some adjustments down in Fredericksburg and has since made that translation over to High A Wilmington. Susana is now one of those legit prospects that some people, you obviously know him, but I think he's going to be really jumping up some prospect rankings and really getting some national attention. What do you say about that?
Yeah, I agree. I don't want to say that he needs to, but I think when you're one of the pieces of the Juan Soto trade, you're always going to have a spotlight on you, especially when the trade went down 2 years ago. Mike Rizzo kind of pointing him out individually, being like, this is the guy. Remember, Susana was the reason that Josh Bell had to be included in that deal, because Rizzo wanted him so badly. The Padres said, okay, you need to give up something else. So they gave up Josh Bell. And then the Nationals said, okay, well, we need a first baseman. So you get Luke Voit. But yeah, so, Mike Rizzo has pointed out as Susana as the guy that they really, really wanted included in that Juan Soto deal, and which ended up also including Josh Bell in that package as well. So, but yeah, he's been great. I mean, I think it was 5 over his last 6 starts at Fredericksburg were scoreless. I think he struck out something like 50 over them and walked only a handful. So that's a good sign. After a rough start to the season, he gets bumped up to a level. It's only been 20 innings. So he's 36-ish less innings than he had pitched at Fredericksburg, but the whip is lower. The walks per 9 innings is way lower, way, way lower. Like we're talking almost 3.5 more lower. So that's a really good sign. And, maybe it's just one of those things. And we've seen this with James. We've seen this with Dylan Cruz. We've seen this. We saw a little bit with Robert Hassel before he got hurt again this year. But sometimes these young guys, they just, need to up the ante a little bit. You just put them in a tough situation, put them against higher competition, and those competitive juices come out and they just perform better just because, they kind of have to, or that's just who they are. They just perform at a higher level when they play at a high, or they're playing against a higher level. And, Wilmington is a very pitcher friendly ballpark. So that might have something to do with it too. But I think over 4 starts, you kind of have an idea of, what he's capable of, what he's doing. And just checking real quick, 2 of his 4 starts at Wilmington have been in Wilmington, so that helps. But 2 of his road starts have been pretty solid as well, only giving up 4 earned runs collectively over those 2 starts. So, yeah, I think Jarlin's coming into his own. And I do think that we're kind of just seeing that, sometimes when a young guy plays at a higher level or against tougher competition, he performs better. And hopefully that's the case for Susana as he continues to grow up this farm system.
Yeah, Susana has been incredible so far this season. And he's kind of one of those like forgotten about prospects, but we just talked about Nationals pitching prospects for nearly 20 minutes, Bobby. I mean, number one, hopefully people enjoy that, but also one of the main points, Nationals pitching and their prospects, they have never been in a better spot, in my opinion, under Mike Rizzo. I mean, they just simply have not, probably since the Strasburg days. I mean, you could talk about Lucas Giolito as well, but the amount of talent, pure talent, young talent as well, that's already, as far as pitching goes, in this national system so far, I mean, it is a wave of talent. You've got guys like DJ Hers who have made the jump to the majors, Mitchell Parker. Then you have that second wave of Travis Sykora, Jarlin Susana. You also have guys like Brad Lord who are knocking on the doorsteps of making his major league debut. You've got Kade Cavalli who's going to be ready, hopefully, maybe makes a start this year. But as we talked about, we don't really know at this point. But he still has a ton of juice in him. So the Nationals, as far as pitching goes, they have never been in a better spot, and I love to see it. But of course, Bobby, I wish we could have more than 30 minutes every single day with you, but we always appreciate the time. Bobby Blanco from MASN Sports. Bobby, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ryan. I'm actually heading down to Bowie sometime this week. The Harrisburg Senators are down there, so gonna have some stuff, more stuff with some prospects coming up. And I did talk to Travis Sykora recently, so have some articles and videos coming out on him coming up soon.
Perfect.
Doing so well. So thanks for having me.
Of course, we'll talk about that when that comes out as well. And Bobby, real quick, you know me, I'm a weather guy. Does the game get on today?
I was going to ask you that. You said no. You said we're no kind chance. Of in a tough spot the next couple of days.
I say we play no baseball the next 3 days.
No baseball the next 3 days.
No baseball. The next 3 days, that's maybe 4 days.
Logistical nightmare for your boy.
It will be a nightmare for your boy as well, because I also work at 106.7 The Fan. I'm supposed to have a short show tomorrow. Not anymore. I can tell you that.
I'm not supposed to be at Nats Park again until Saturday, but you're saying I might have a doubleheader that day. That might suck.
Yeah, I mean, it could even be a triple header. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, seriously, it's bad.
9 a.m., noon.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Yeah, seriously, let's do it. All right, man. We will see you. Bobby Blanco from MASNsports.com. Catch me over on Twitter at Bobby_Blanco. And of course, you can catch me on Twitter at Brian Clary 11. We will catch you guys on the flip side. Maybe enjoy some baseball, but maybe just enjoy the rain. We'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good one.